The world is burning down, and somehow I'm supposed to pretend like nothing's happening. It might just be the Gen Z in me, but just hearing Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, wildfires, plane crashes, ice raids, not to mention we're all going to be replaced in the next 2 years anyway. You see all this, and I'm just sending my little follow-up emails and making my slides like nice and pretty. I think I just feel so useless when I compare the work that I'm doing and what's actually happening in the world. I don't know, is it just me, or is it getting just hard to care?
Are we all feeling this universal feeling that we just don't care because at the end of the day, nothing really matters because we die? You know, that seems a little morbid, but truly, like, what are we doing with our lives? I mean, how many of you guys are on this miserable hamster wheel where we're just in the same job that we hate, or like in a relationship that we hate, or we live in a place that we hate, and it just like doesn't seem to end? That can't be how our story ends. Like, there's just no way that we're constantly just working our ass off for the rest of our lives just to be miserable. So that leads me to the next question. It's like, what are we working for? What are we working so hard for? So we get brought onto this earth, we get robbed of our childhood, we go to college, we get a job, and then we work that job until we die. I don't know about you, but that sounds like the most horrific horror story I've ever heard. And that can't be our lives. Not me over here just trying to gaslight myself into thinking that's normal. Because other than the US, everyone else lives to work, but we work to live, and it's honestly so unfair. I'm just at a point in my life where I'm sick and tired of the corporate world just sucking the life out of me, and now I'm left with nothing.
So I'm 23 years old. My tongue is going to be blue for this video. Just ignore it. I'm 23 years old, and my entire life has been unprecedented. Like, everything that has been introduced and happened in our lifetimes as a young generation has been incredibly unprecedented and crazy and wild and whatever. And I think it's left a lot of people in my generation, including me, incredibly disappointed and angry at the world and questioning, like, what comes next for us. Because any life plan or path that's been, paved beforehand, it doesn't work anymore. So what do we do? The big question, what do we do? Post-COVID, I started to feel this, and when I was graduating college last year, I felt this even more, like this anger that I've worked so hard for something, and like nothing is going according to plan. All the promises that were made to me about if I work hard and I do this, they just didn't work out. But after a while, I was like, I'm young, and I can't waste this time being angry at the world because it's not it's not going to push me anywhere. I will be stagnant and I will be depressed and I will be angry at the world, and no one's going to come to rescue me from it. So this is, I guess, my advice for young people who feel incredibly disillusioned and upset and angry at the current world and where it's taken us as young people and like kind of given us no way out. The only thing that keeps me going is the only two things. First is knowing that during times of like upheaval, social upheaval, societal upheaval, that is when like most innovative ideas come out. Like most opportunities, it's a time when things are very flexible, like nothing goes according to plan, social standards and hierarchies are much more flexible. So like if you get creative and you see opportunities, like jump at them now, because no one's gonna come to hand you a job and say this is, how you're gonna be safe in this world, because you're not. Like, if anything, I think we know that nothing is going to stay consistent for us like ever. So depend on, I think, yourself, not in like a doomsday way, but depend on yourself, your values, and like ask yourself what makes you happy. If the world looked completely different tomorrow, is there a thing that like I have a mission or a contribution I want to make, or there's something I want to do that will make me happy while I'm living life? Like, I built a political app because I felt completely disillusioned with politics, and like I want to help people, and that's what I feel my purpose is. Your purpose can be something completely different. You don't have to have a purpose in terms of like a job or whatever, but what I'm saying is you can hang on to yourself and your values, and that will root you regardless of how much society around you is going to change.
Gen Z has a massive problem. We all want to be millionaires, and yet we have a very skewed perception on how easy that actually is. Many Gen Z think that the internet is just a money printing machine, and so they'll fall for schemes like day trading courses, drop shipping, SMMA, Amazon FBA, etc. Many Gen Z distrust the education system as a whole, thinking that it's useless, thinking that college is a scam. And lastly, many Gen Z do not date at all, blaming the other gender for their lack of intimacy. There's no good men out there, everyone is bums, I'm just going to support myself and not date. Or there's no good women out there, women just want to use men for their money and sleep around. We're all incredibly impatient, and despite many of us wanting to be very, very successful, very few people want to put in the work to get there and actually think that working a 9 to 5 somehow makes you a loser. Oh, and by the way, we do have it much worse than previous generations because buying a house is now the most unaffordable it's been in American history, and in general, due to inflation and stagnating wages, it's become incredibly hard to live a upper class lifestyle. I talk all about this and more in my latest episode of Backs of All Trades, The Problem with Gen Z. Go check it out on YouTube or Spotify today.
Let's eat a health nut salad while I talk about why Gen Z is not curious anymore and they're missing out on life. As a fellow Gen Zer, graduated in May 2021 from Kansas City, have lived in LA for 4 years, I feel that we have lost our curiosity in our life. Now, I'm not going to say anything that's new. These are all things that we deep down know, but it kills me when I see it happen in real time with myself and with my friends and with situations and stories that I hear from people. The little things that we could be doing, I feel like we're not doing enough that I feel that could immensely change and help us improve just our overall life. We are so enamored and amazed by the things that are on our phones, but we fail to look up and see the life that's in front of us happening before us. And I think those little moments of connections actually are the biggest highlights of my week usually. For example, I was at a restaurant with my uncle this last week, and I connected with the waitress because we had the same name. We're now gonna hang out and do yoga together, but yet in a lot of instances and stories, you hear people saying, oh, I met this person through the app. No hate to the apps. If we were more open-minded to the people around us and the situations around us in an actual public setting, we wouldn't be so open to somewhat struggling on the apps in our phones. I think those little moments are the most important things that happen within your day and within your week. It shows connection, it humanizes yourself, it makes you realize like, oh, everyone's just a person. And I'm not talking about anything that's new. Everyone knows this. I feel like everyone talks about this all the time. You're knocking out all of the things that make us human little by little by little and making it easier for us to stay isolated. I feel like there was a John Green podcast that came out on TikTok recently where he's like, loneliness is the worst disease in the world. And we are able to do things that usually required a little bit of conversation with people back then, now just with a phone and no conversation whatsoever, which is absolutely crazy. It's so interesting when you talk to your friends and family and talk about the struggle of meeting people and connecting with people and dating people when it is still there. It's still there, but we are not open to taking the first leap. It's like everything around a pool, like so excited. It's like the first day of summer and everyone's just like, well, I don't know. I don't want to go first. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go first. And we're like waiting for the first person to jump into the pool to be like, yeah, guys, I did it. It's cool. I'm alive. I'm well. And then everyone would jump in. So it's just interesting to see that we all know that it's there. And I think it's unfortunate because we do still struggle with the hyper-individualistic society that we're in. Like, no one is curious about each other. They're only caring for themselves. We're curious about each other in the same way that we're curious about random people that we know on social media. I think it would shift and we would realize how cool the people around us are, and you would start to build connections and you would have friendships and just a better sense of community. Especially in this day and age, community is so important because of everything that's going on. I think it's like twofold in this like loneliness epidemic of we already feel like we can't connect with people. We go on the apps, we go through social media. There's a lack of third places, and it's super easy to go down your rabbit holes of doom scrolling, regardless of what you believe and don't believe in. It isolates you even more. And then you can't talk about it with people because there's a lack of community in your environment. I think if we stayed curious when we went outside of our homes and met people with a little bit of openness, a little bit of kindness, and a side of cautiousness, it would be a little bit easier to connect with each other than feeling the absolute need to go to the apps or go to your phone. I'm off my TED Talk. I didn't even eat my salad, I was so heated. But I got the Cobb salad from Health Nut, if anyone's gonna ask.
Something I don't think boomers get about corporate and Gen Z is that we grew up working on a laptop wherever we wanted to work. My grade was the first ones to get like the Chromebooks and the iPads. So literally since 8th grade, I could do my homework at home, at the gym, at the park, and I would get it done. Into college, you never had to go to the library unless you wanted like focused study time. I could do work anywhere. I did it on the bus all the time on the way to and from games. And now that we're in corporate America, they're like, I don't believe you can get work done at home. It's like, girl, I've been working from all kinds of different places for 8 years now. I promise. I know how to work from home and work from all these different areas because I've been doing it for 8 years.
Trouble for Gen Z in the workplace. Employers are reporting that this generation is the most difficult to work with.
You want to know what's funny? Come here. It's not that the new generation is more difficult to work with. It's that the older generation is more difficult to work for, right? Because in the article, it further explains that the newer generation is more difficult to work with, right? Because apparently they're easily offended. Get so close right now. I promise you it's the older generation that is more offended than anybody else. If you don't believe me, go to your boss and ask for a raise and watch how offended everybody gets, right? Or put in your 2-week notice and watch how personal your boss takes that, right? Another reason was apparently the new generation is untrustworthy. I promise you, during your job interview, when your boss says, we're like a family, and then you have to take a day off because it's a personal issue, watch them make you feel so guilty for doing so, right? And lastly, they said that the newer generation apparently are lazy. It's not that they're lazy. They're not getting paid enough to do more than what they're already hired to do. That's not called being lazy. That's called taking a stance and having standards.
Oh, but money won't buy you happiness?
Who the fuck told you that? I'm
Pretty fucking sure that if you gave me 100 mil, like right the fuck
now, I would
literally never be sad again.
like my brother.
Can your small mind even fucking comprehend how I'd be moving if I had a few mil in the bank right now? Literally nothing would ever make me sad. It's like, oh, my wife cheated on me with her personal trainer and she took the kids with her?
Well, fuck.
Guess I'll have to go and cry about it in my $1 million penthouse. You think I'd be sad if I was financially free and I had literally all the time in the world to do whatever the fuck I wanted to do?
The fuck are you talking about?
Like, brother, if I was free to do whatever I want, whenever I want to, I would literally be fucking
Hopping and skipping everywhere.
You would genuinely never see me without a big fat fucking
Jolly smile on my face.
grinning ear to ear. Like, nah, bro. Not to be the mayor of
Fucking Frowntown or anything, but a mansion in
Hawaii and a yacht sounds pretty fucking good to me right now.
So it's like my brother.
Don't tell me that money doesn't buy happiness.
Because it certainly fucking does.
I'm genuinely convinced that sadness is just the
Absence of a fucking boatload of
money. It's like, oh, you've got depression? Well, here's a few $1 million.
now go and be fucking happy.
Like why the fuck has this study not been done yet? I guarantee you that you would see at least a 95% success rate. So don't hit me with that bullshit that money won't cure all my problems.
Because it certainly fucking will.
Okay, one thing I'm thinking about is from the 1960s, 1970s, when student protesters on college campuses successfully protested against the Vietnam War and got America to withdraw. Also thinking of South African apartheid protests, etc., etc. And what I often see and hear in online spaces is older generations talking down to younger generations, like our generation, in a positive, in an uplifting way, specifically as it pertains to the Gaza war encampments. And what they're saying is, stick with it, students, stick with it. We changed the world. Our generation changed the world. We all put it out there, and we thought a better world was possible. We protested, we did it, and y'all can do it if you just stay with it. But I don't think the older generations actually realize how hopeless we feel, nor do I think they understand how dire the circumstances are. If you're 40 years old, you're fine. Climate change, I mean, you're not fine. Really, you're not fine. No, nobody. If you're 85, you are not fine from climate change. And if you're 40, I can see how you'd want to be disengaged from that, because you might think it's not going to affect you. I don't think people realize how helpless we feel. I mean, if we solved the Gaza war, if the Gaza war ended today, and even, Israeli apartheid was dissolved, something like that, that's a drop in the bucket. We are in a climate crisis. We are in climate collapse. Climate collapse. The climate crisis doesn't care if you're Israeli or Palestinian. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor. We saw that in Palestine. I mean, that is one thing. One thing. Okay? We collectivize and we stop the Gaza war. What about Ukraine? Okay? What about Sudan? What about Congo? What about what might boil down in India and Pakistan? I mean, I don't think we don't want to put our all of our chips on the table for one thing, because we realize there's a lot of things to be gambling for. And no, I don't want to spend like 6 months on Gaza. I mean, no, like there's way too much out there. I don't know. Maybe we need to be more hopeful as a generation. I really don't know, but I feel overwhelmed. And I feel like even if I were to be a part of a movement that solved one big, massive global injustice, we would still feel so far disconnected from a world I actually want to live in that feels debilitating. I don't know.
I think my generation is so messed up in terms of texting and dating. I'm 25, and so I grew up like right at the cusp of when phones were becoming really, really popular. Like I had a phone in middle school, like just like a slide flip phone, and then we all got iPhones. But I definitely think that having a phone and texting that early on in like our formative years has definitely influenced the way that like my generation dates. Because for my parents in like middle school, they were definitely not texting about dating. Like they were actually going up to people and asking them out. But in my middle school, when everybody was running around like afraid of boys, we could still text them. And we could text them all day and say that we were dating and never actually speak to them in real life. And I think that created like a false sense of closeness with these people that we did not even really know at all. And then you would like go up and hug them during like a random lunch period, and they would be like the talk of the town. But I think that it has like negatively impacted the way my generation dates, because a lot of people will try to like form a connection over text before they've even met somebody. And I think that just ruins it from the start. Like if you're texting 24/7 before you've even met this person, you feel like you know them and you don't. And you can really, each of you can kind of put each other on a pedestal because they seem so perfect through text, and then you meet and you're super disappointed. So I think it's interesting to think about, because our parents did not have phones. Like they had to go up to each other in middle school and ask each other out. And we have always been able to just hide behind a screen. So I think it's like something you have to get used to as you get older, that you can't just make a connection via texting before the date. Like it just makes everything weird.
I never thought at the age of 25 years old I would get to the point where I wake up. For example, this morning I got out of bed at 7:30 and by 12 p.m. I'm back in bed. But this is the result of years and years and years of pushing the threshold, pushing too much, not listening to my body. If you are a constant doer, if you are a high achiever, if you are a people pleaser, if you are someone that wants to be successful in life and you will do anything it takes to get there, please let this be your reminder that you cannot keep pushing when your body is telling you to just be still for a moment, to just be here, be now, be present, just to breathe, just to regulate your nervous system. These are the things our body needs in order to thrive. Being successful shouldn't be a task. Being successful shouldn't be sickness. Being successful shouldn't come at the expense of not being able to function efficiently, healthily, happily, wholly. Being successful isn't worth it if your definition of success means exhaustion. And mine has been for so many years. And here we are, healing one day at a time. But here we are. In order to function healthily and well and happily, we need time to lay horizontally. We need more rest. We need to listen, because rest is productive too. We need time to just be, because we're human beings, not human doings. Please. I always told myself if I come back on TikTok, I'm going to be as brutally honest about my part, about this part of my journey. And I see myself healing. Sometimes though, it gets to you, and I just want to reach out to the people that are either dealing with a silent illness or dealing with their own things, that you will get through this. We will get through this. Of course we will. There's no fucking way that we won't. For as long as you believe that you will heal and you will get better, our thoughts create our reality. Our thoughts change everything. So when you're having those shitty days and you're going through the motions and you're trying to pull yourself out of those dark spaces, just be a reminder that you can fucking do it.